I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch. Boy, that's delayed.
Yeah, that's look at it. It's spinning around.
Yeah.
Let's give it a second.
Okay.
It's the last song anyway.
Yep.
We're a little chippy, dear listener. Give it some time.
Hang tight.
We shall return. Never fear. Never fear. Never fear. Talk to the people.
Oh, I mean, they can hear us?
I'm assuming they can.
You guys, can you type 22 if you can hear us just the same, even though we're a little chippy visually? Did that happen because we played the commercial?
I don't really know why it happened.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys
it's
can
catching
hear
up right now.
If you guys can hear us, just type 22 in the chat so I know that you guys can hear us on the regular. Okay. All right. So yeah, a random ask me anything. If you guys want to ask a question, just type it in the chat because apparently
We're good now. We're up.
Oh, here we go. Hello. All right, you guys. Let me get that timestamp, babe.
We're at 4:12:49. We got one more song for you beautiful
All
people.
right.
Shout out to the big homie Kai, by the way.
Shout out to Kai.
See, if all of us were like Kai, the girls would never do that shit.
Oh,
They'd all want to move to Finland or whatever.
All right, so okay, this is DJ Revo's stream, as you guys already know. But if you're just watching this singular review, then you didn't know. So it's his birthday, and we are celebrating with a new and trendy K-pop birthday stream. The last song on our stream is Tablo-1000 Years. With this, he says, I'm diverting from my criteria of top viewed music videos. This is a song I personally chose. I'm a fan of Tablo and his group Epic High. You reacted to Rosario. They were one of the groups that began making rap in Korean as complex and nuanced as it is done in English in the early 2000s.
Whoa.
They got really big in the mid-2000s.
Early 2000s is a hard time to be a lyricist, man.
Okay.
Like, you had Jay, you had Jadakiss, you had, ugh.
So big that they had the 3rd top-selling album of 2007 domestically in Korea. But an online group began attacking Tablo, accusing him of lying about his background. He got his bachelor's and master's degree together using a program at Stanford. While at Stanford, he rapped in the Bay Area and after graduating moved to Korea. TV networks at the time were exposing actual K-pop songwriters that had lied about their credentials to make their resume more appealing, subsequently making them lose their careers. But Tablo wasn't one of them. His father died at this time, and he blamed the stress. Oh, man. His father died at the time, and he blamed the stress from the accusations as the cause. In an interview
That's
at the
what I'm
time,
saying. These people are
ruthless.
That's what I'm saying.
Tablo
Like,
claimed he was
damn.
afraid to even leave his home due to the threats being made. What? What does it matter? That's crazy to threaten somebody's life. Tablo and Epic High made a comeback when he got signed to YG, Baby Monster, and Big Bang's label. He left YG and founded his own independent label, High Grind. This song features Taiwanese rapper Jay Xion, who raps in Chinese. Tablo is 43 years old, and Jay Xion is 38. Let's check it out.
Okay, it's called 1,000 Years.
Yep, and it's on Genius if you want the lyrics.
I got him right here.
Okay.
That's the Tablo 1,000 Years.
Yep.
All right, this is a rap. This is gonna have a lot of rap in it, guys. So I'm getting the
lyrics.
Man, I got a song coming out.
Oh my gosh. I believe I've had too much caffeine. I literally felt my heart going like something weird.
I can't find the lyrics for this song, bro.
Yeah, it's on Genius, babe.
1,000. Yeah, but you see how Genius is all broken up and stuff? You got to do that shit for a million times. See all those commercials in the middle?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Talk to the people. Talk to the people.
Yeah, random ask me anything, you guys. What is it that you guys want to talk about while we wait for Vinny to get the lyrics up? Because obviously we need to understand what it is we're listening to. How else can we say we liked it? How else can we comment on the lyrics? You guys, the description of this video is going to have all of your
By the way, we're in 1440p now, bitches.
That's right. We're not playing. We are not playing. All right, I'm going right up to the comment section here. Oh, Franco, you're wired with too much coffee as well. I literally regret having this much caffeine. Like, literally, I felt my heart aching and then, like, doing this weird racy thing. I was like, that can't be good. I'm close to 40.
Genius Korea.
Yes,
right,
Ian, what's your question?
Go. Okay, answer Ian's question.
What about the thoughts on The Last Temptation of Christ? I don't know what the question...
He texted me. It's a movie.
Oh.
It's kind of like a modern retelling. It was okay. I actually saw that in the movie theaters with my mom and dad, and we went as a family and watched it.
Oh, really?
My mom didn't like it. I thought it was cool to like see the Jesus story replayed in like a modern kind of whatever. But obviously there was some theological or whatever issues. But I don't have an issue either way. I mean, as long as look, you're gonna talk about Jesus afterwards, right? So.
XBM, interestingly enough,
what are men really bringing to the table?
I actually think that whenever I think of aliens, I always think them to be bad angels or fallen angels or disembodied bad spirits. I never think of, when I think of good spirits, I don't think of aliens. I think of messengers, angelic beings, like something separate. I don't know why I have that distinction, but generally, anytime that I see anything that's like aliens, I always think, I never personally get, maybe I'm going off of a personal vibe. I don't know. Anytime I hear the stories or see the information on it, I never feel like it's like a good spirit. I've heard, stories or encounters that people have had, like, I don't know if you want to share one that but, people having experiences with angels, and the positive vibe, but also the fearful vibe that they can bring with them, but not a fearful, like the same type of fear that I see. Like, it almost seems like this is a powerful, like, being vibe rather than like, this is like a terrible being that I don't know what they're going to do to you.
Okay. All right, let's do it. No, angels don't possess people. People are either indwelt by demons or the Holy Spirit.
I mean, Sadie, I think that you have to ask the question. You asked the question, what are men really bringing to the table? And I really think that depends on what man you're talking about. Because I think, Vinny brings a lot to the table. That, I mean, he's a provider for our family. He brings a sort of stasis to the environment. A sort of like, I always bring up like safety and security, but I don't just mean physically. I also mean like, I can see when, there's certain levels of, like if the kids get like a certain level of scared about something or whatever, like there's something about Vinny that he's that masculine energy that he brings to the table. There's also the financial aspect of it. There's a certain level of stress that I don't have to go through because Vinny's taking care of certain things. He's the leader of our family, and directionally he brings us where our family is going to go leadership wise. And he's somebody that I have a hard time like just generally speaking with men, and I always have. Like the idea of following a man, I've never been with that. I'm not always good at it, obviously, but definitely like Vinny's the type of person that I can follow. I think that if you're talking about like a worthless man, in which case, what is he bringing to the table? Yeah, I think that there's a lot of worthless men that, you know, I don't say a lot. I don't know. I mean, biblically speaking, there's a category of a worthless man where what he does and what he brings to the table ultimately brings his family to destruction and death. So,
if we have the UAP question and the what do men bring to the table question after this review, I would love to talk about it.
Okay, so let me just change that timestamp because
yep,
it's not really.
And how long is that Tablo song? Do you know?
I will find out for you.
I've got it on an hour repeat.
Oh, okay. Let me get that first, and then we'll take down the.
Oh, I absolutely believe that the UAPs are angels for sure.
Okay, so 3:34.
3:34. Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just give me the timestamp again. So it was 12. It's 4:21 now.
4:21 now.
Okay. Yep.
Ready?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Last
and
song
I'm
of
playing
the
the official over here.
And what's the guy's name again?
Tablo 1000
Tablo,
years.
featuring Jay.
Tablo.
Here it is, guys.
I've been losing it, feeling low and high, cause I'm down all day, but I'm up all night. 롤러콘, 두세 이른 show, 나 슈도마톤. I'm all alone, feeling overdose, singing love songs. Running out of lies, running out of time. When all I wanted was to run to you, girl, run into your arms. 想到中 두세 이른 show, 나 슈도마톤.早就注定一败涂地，求求你 baby. We dreamed about fancy houses, thought we had at least 1,000 years. Memories we got, they call us. Now they're all drowned out by tears. Help me.
这根本没道理 Baby please don't let go 怎么都变了若选择要切割 Then just take it slow 一刀刀的割下所有记忆的画面 Oh girl 如果已走到了最后的分岔路口 If you wanna leave baby I'll let you go Oh 该走就让你走
Your memories got me so sick. 나 진실의记忆重演 But I do it again. You were my best friend. Even bad times they were worth it. 那些从前那些大半夜玄黄的街都带进你的天 Late night drives, hands up high, speakers bumping lo-fi. We dreamed about fancy houses, thought we had at least 1,000 years. Memories we got, they call us. Now they're all drowned out by tears. Help me, yeah.
这根本没道理 Baby please don't let go 怎么都变了若选择要切割 Then just take it slow 一刀刀的割下所有记忆的画面 Oh girl 如果已走到了最后的分岔路口 If you wanna leave baby I'll let you go Oh 该走就让你走
I'll miss you, miss you for 1,000 years. I'll miss you.
What the hell?
Love you for 1,000 years. Love you for 1,000 years. Love you for 1,000 years. I'll be with you for 1,000 years.
Interesting.
That's okay. So did he end up doing it?
Letting her go?
Well, you see, he had that bomb strapped to him, right?
Oh, I missed that part because I did see that at the end, but I missed it because the song paused.
Yeah. So basically, there's a relationship, and then they're going back and forth, and then the girl's gonna leave, and then he's got this suicide. He's got
1,000 years.
He's got a suicide vest, and it's counting down, and it's like, did she save him in time? That type of thing. Very interesting song considering the discussion that we just had. This song is about a breakup, and you can make that metaphorical of the giant breakup that's happening over there in Korea. But he eventually said, like in the song, he said, if you want to go, that's cool, I'll let you go. But then he's got that suicide vest on, which is like one of the most horrible, manipulative. I hope to God that none of my daughters have a boyfriend that pulls that shit. Because I will absolutely be like, yeah, man, go do that shit, bro.
Yep, you would 100%.
Go do that shit. Matter of fact, stay over there. I'll be over there. You're going to put that shit on my daughter? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
bro.
yep.
That shit is crazy. Yeah, so the video was toxic as fuck. Go ahead.
I ended up in a relationship because somebody was basically like that. I got into the relationship because they did a move like that before. So it came down, I hadn't started dating either person, but it came down to two people. One of them I was interested in the concept, but I wasn't really interested in the person. And when I told that person, like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of like, deciding here. He like got super angry. Like he had the whole night planned of how he wanted things to go. And it just wasn't feeling it like that. Mm-hmm. And so he immediately switched the music from being something romantic sounding to something that was like, to be honest with you, it was metal. And I wish I knew which song he put on. So he put on this like crazy stuff.
Oh, that was Homeboy.
No.
That's my guy. R?
No.
Oh, somebody else? Never heard of this person?
You have. You just, yeah. Okay. He was the one that was in the military. And I was writing to him. And so like my father was like.
What is it with you and dudes in the
I wasn't really into the military thing. But
really?
Because he was writing to me like he could be anybody. So he became something different when I was writing to him than who he actually was. And my father said that. He was like, sorry, you're not into him like that. He's like, wait till he comes back. He's like, you're going to see real quick. And he was right. But anyway, I wasn't sure like at first. It did take a minute. But like he reacted like that, super all angry and stuff. And like when I told the other person, hey, like, this guy is back, because he was aware of this other guy that I was writing with, and I said, he's back now or something like that, and he was like, yeah, that's cool. He's like, whatever, like, like do whatever it is that you have to do, and he was like nice about it. But then I left to go because we worked at the same place, and then when I circled back around to come, hang out with him a little bit, he was wearing like one of those necklaces that was like a bunch of those metal balls.
Yep.
And he had tightened that thing really tight on his neck, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, what are you doing? And then it was like sort of like this it was like a self-harm type of situation. And I looked at that, how I was about stuff like that. So to me, even though that should be a red flag, I was like, oh my gosh, like he needs me. Like this is like, he really likes me. And I ended up, that was actually what pushed it over the edge to put me in the relationship with him, which I didn't think he was the person for me either. Like I didn't think either one of them were, but I really did want,
Guy is like such a nice foundation to build a relationship on.
Oh my God. Yeah.
My favorite YouTuber, she talked about some sort of study that said that women who were single were more fulfilled and happy, and it wasn't like 49-51. It was like 75-25 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so she was like, that was the other thing, is like, you guys just bring all these problems, blah, 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 blah. And so yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah. Then I look at the divorce rate in the lesbian community. It's like astronomical. Mm-hmm. Then you go to the CDC and you see that there are emotional comorbidities to lesbian relationships. My point is just to say that if you want to locate this in our nature, I think you're on the right track. But if you want to locate it to one specific gender instead of just the entire human family, then we're not going to get anywhere. That's part of the issue, is that
these girls are saying, yeah, man, you guys, there's a line, right? Like there's a camel, he carries straw, but one of these days, that's going to be the straw. And so it's like, when people react, I always talk about this, never make a guilt, fear, or anger. Never make a decision of guilt, fear, or ego, actually. I'm pretty good about that because anytime I get in a situation, those three things pop up. But like the anger part of it doesn't get factored in. So
That's interesting.
People that really, really know me, when I get like peak level angry, I get extremely quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I'm working a lot of shit out. But I actually think in a real practical level that both men and women would be more happy without each other. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you put two sinful, selfish people together, that is, you are going to have conflicts. And so,
Yeah.
and it's so crazy to me that both groups aren't seeing it. So the manosphere people, they want to put everything on women. It's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you got these other women who are like, we're going to go and, okay, and I already talked about it. I don't think it's going to work, but I also think it would be foolish and stupid for men to ignore them because that's a pretty extreme solution to that problem. But in this song, he's saying, come on, baby, stay with me, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, whatever happened to fuck up their relationship, I've been losing it, feeling low and high. So it looks like he's got some emotional, maybe psychological issues. He's down all day. Maybe he's got major depression. He's up at night. He's an insomniac. Emptiness fills my soul. Alone I stand, bearing the weight of sorrow's pain. I'm all alone, overdose, singing love songs, running out of lies, running out of time. Like, this dude is not in good shape. And he is not somebody that should have been in a relationship in the first place. But, dear listener, why do we have relationships in the first place? That's my question. In a lot of these scenarios, we're talking about sex, we're talking about the battle of the sexes, you're talking about gender roles, blah, 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 blah. Do you have a telos for relationships, or do you believe that relationships are there so you can fill in the time so that you don't, get bored? You do your 70 spins around the sun and then, off you go. And it would be better to hang out with somebody than not hang out with somebody. So like we incidentally run into people that we like their whatever for X amount of period of time. And then when they stop giving us whatever emotional thing that they're giving us, then we say that we're out of love and we have to move on and we grew apart or whatever. Okay. So like that, maybe what we do is we say, okay, we got this giant jihad going on between men and women. Like, where are you hurt?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of social issues that really come down to the fact that people are just emotional and they're hurt.
Yeah.
Like this trans bathroom thing. You say, okay, let's just create a trans bathroom. They don't want that. How come?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can argue about civil rights, we can argue this and that, but at the end of the day, a trans woman is a biological man who has serious gender dysphoria to the point where they're repulsed and distressed by their secondary sexual characteristics, and as such, they take man-made solutions to solve that problem for themselves. Okay? But there's a second component to transness, which is your surrounding community has to also validate this new identity because your biology is saying immutably that you're wrong. And so in order to overcome your own biology and the narrative that's going on in your head, you need everybody outside to affirm you. So now it becomes a job of everybody around you to quell the voices in your mind. And so when a person says, I want to go to the ladies' bathroom, we're sitting here arguing about, well, it's not safe, it's cis, and we're bringing out stats, blah, 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 blah. But really what's happening in the psychology of a lot of these people is that if you say that I can't go to this bathroom or I have to go to another kind of bathroom, you are not affirming that I'm a woman. And that is the real issue. Mm-hmm. It is an emotional, you creating a third bathroom for me means that I'm not actually a woman.
Yeah.
And so now society is now being told that we're supposed to carry the psychological pain of these folks. And your perspective on it doesn't matter. I get that. And my thing is, look at the lengths people go to feel accepted and to feel validated. Mm-hmm. And so one part about, like, oh, you guys are all going to go on a desert island and, how you're going to have sex or whatever. But there's also just the fact that I was listening to a podcast with some dudes. And these were like gang dudes. They were like real life killers, jail time, half their time in prison. And they were like, I mean, obviously, like, you got your boys with you, like, you living and dying with them boys, like, obviously. He's like, but I mean, it's not like having a girl. Like, your homie die or whatever, like, you going to your girl. And I'm watching them talk, and they're like, well, yeah, obviously. And I'm like, I remember that. I remember being in that situation in the hood and shit, and like, whatever. And like, when I would go and hang out, like, before some shit was going to happen, like, I needed her around. Yeah, for sure. Sure. Like, so that's been my experience. Like, there's always been times in my life when a woman has been there and has been a lifesaver one way or the other, whether it's through, I mean, obviously we were kids in high school, but going up, even like certain career changes when I was completely like not supposed to even, it was women that, hey, this kid is, so like, it's hard for me to look at all these situations because I'm so conflicted, because there's nothing more beautiful than unconditional love. But unconditional love requires some kind of major violation in order for it to be validated. And so I'm interpreting this entire thing, whether it's the 4B thing or the Andrew Tate stuff, as we're giving up on each other. Like, we're just giving up on each other, and the idea that, and I think a lot of it has to do is, what is the purpose? Why are we here? That's one of the things I want to ask Runaway Siren. Okay, let's say that you made your island, right? You made your island, you've completely demasculinized your existence. Okay, then what? What's the point? You're in your late 20s, so you've got about another 50 spins around. You've got more than a quarter of your life is already over on this planet. So you make your feminist lesbian utopia great. Then what? You get hooked up with a girl over there. You guys in a relationship. Great. Why? What is significant about it? Now, how they're going to get children, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not thinking a lot of that shit through. So what are you going to do? You're going to have a stable of dudes. You're going to go get pregnant and bloom, have a bunch of babies, and then raise them in this nice Amazonian lesbian village with no male counterparts. That's good for the child.
Secondly,
growing up as a guy without a father, that is not good for a child. Just FYI.
Yeah.
And it almost guarantees another group of, if you think that the dudes now, are fucking intolerable, you wait. Give it a generation of dudes exclusively raised by women. Unless they're just going to abort all the kids once you find out it's a boy. It would not surprise me. But what are you going to do with your boys? They turn 18, they got to go because they're the enemy now. SubhanAllah. I mean, shit. The cutoff mark should really be puberty. As soon as the boy hits puberty, they got to leave your wonderful island. I mean, I don't know. I just think that, like, I think the more mature thing is that we got to listen to each other. We have to both agree with each other that we've harmed each other. We've hurt each other. I don't see any hope for secularists because there's no reason to be together in secularism. even the selection pressure stuff, we're talking about like propagating the species, even that's not enough, because as XBM said, these people are secularists. They have to know that if we took the logical ramifications of this solution, now it's the end of humanity. I just think, like, if your solution like literally ends the human race,
Yeah.
it's
This can't be the answer. This can't be the answer.
I just it's just crazy to me. It's crazy. It's a crazy idea. You talk about the end of humanity. But that tells me that we gotta listen, man. Like we gotta listen to each other. You know, and that's one of the things I love about Original Sin, because in this discussion, I get to say both of us have fucked up. The majority of responsibility has to go to the man because we're the leaders. But that means that I can come into the conversation with a repentant heart and not feel that I'm putting myself beneath anybody. Because that's why we want to apologize, because we got so much ego and we're so prideful. You're messed up. I'm messed up. God put me in the lead. Don't really know what you were doing when you did that, buddy, but okay, I'm the leader. And you just fight. You work it out. You forgive. All of us love that love story where there's a real struggle for the people to be together, and they had to earn it on a daily basis. Like, we love that story. You're talking about ending stories like that, man. Like,
I think the other thing too is, you know, like Jet was saying, look, I didn't have a dad and I'm cool. I think it's not about being like cool, like, or being like okay. But what we want is we want everybody the healthiest they can be without having to feel like they had to be in survival for anything. And the ultimately best environment is for a kid to have both a feminine and a masculine in their life. And, you know, like, I mean, for me, when I look at like my little, like, so tonight my boys were showing me something. There's, I know not everybody watches our channel, so you don't know. We have a 1.5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Those are the youngest ones that we have. And so they were showing me how they were throwing these little bags into this hole. And like the 4-year-old looks at me and he was like, Mom, and I'm like, yeah. He was like, come see this. So I came over and he's like, watch this, my lady. And then he throws the little sack in there. And then the 3-year-old goes, yes, my lady, watch this. And he throws it in there. And like seeing my sons that look like, I see there's different parts of them that remind me of Vinny. And so seeing like these little mini Vinny versions being like it's, if they were created because we had some, you know, random bank because we're separated from the men. And so I got my sons that way, but I don't even know who their dad is. Like, I mean, cool to have kids, but like really cool that these kids are part Vinny. And so when they say "milady," like it echoes him in my life. And so it's just a really beautiful, and like, I love being able to give, like, I don't want my kids in survival mode. I want them to be able to be loved by both their mother and their father. And I don't think that you can just dash away men and just completely get rid of that side of things. Like, I do think that we have problems, and I agree with you. I think that we have to listen to each other, and we have to like look in and actually like understand.
I mean, it's a form of female supremacy, which that's okay. But like, anytime you have a supremacist position, then you have to demonize the people you're superior to. So like, we have to hate Jews in 1930s Germany. We have to say black people and niggers in the antebellum South, because otherwise we can't do what we're planning on doing to them. I think Sadie, if men actually listen to what women tell them that they wanted, needed, instead of telling women what women want, need, that would be a huge tipping point in the right direction. I don't know how that works out on a practical level. I don't know what data sources you're pulling from, so I don't really know how to really comment on that. That's a generalized statement. Women don't listen to men, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? Like, at the political level, at the what are we talking about here? I think that there are real grievances, and I think that, I mean, obviously as a Christian, I believe we're going to figure it out. And what did Lady Wisdom say? look, one of the ways you can spot a foolish idea is, I always ask the question, why are we here? Now, there is no such thing as foolishness and wisdom if there's no God. Okay? So foolishness and wisdom can only be real at a meta level if consciousness is eternal, because that's an action of mentation. Okay. All right. Fine. Me and you have a problem. One group is saying, I am not being heard. I think that that's what Sadie's saying. The main beef here is I'm not being heard. You guys are imposing.
You're trying to tell us what we think and want or need.
And that's where I'm like, what are we talking about here?
Are we talking on an emotional level?
Since the 60s, when I look at the 60s, right? Y'all were the ones that did the bra burning thing. And I'm not mad at it. I understand why. Y'all are the ones that did the birth control thing, right? The abortion thing, which then led men's expectation about sexuality. I'm sorry. I mean, it just changed. Look at sexual attitudes pre and post sexual revolution. Before, the woman was an unattainable prize that he had to go and work for and impress. And then when she was going steady with him, he had to demonstrate that he could hold down a job and buy a house. And then he had to go to the dad to ask for the hand in marriage. Okay. I think that system is better for my daughters than the current system we have right now, which is there's no difference between men and women. Everybody likes to have sex. Let's just have all this random purposeless sex and we'll be friends with benefits and all this thing. It'll be fine. Like the show we're watching. They're just casually hooking up. It'll be fine. If you don't understand why relationships are here in the first place, you have no hope. Relationships are here because God wants a family. He created us in his image. So I've got a human being named Orion that there was a point in time when he wasn't. And now there'll never be a time when he isn't. And to see that every day and to understand the ramifications of that, there's a lot of times in the day I'm just terrified. And it's not like it's and I know it's from God because it's a good terror. It's a terror you enjoy. I don't know how to explain it. But it's just like, yo, look at this, man. Like, this guy wasn't here. Yeah. Now he's got his own mind. He's thinking his own thoughts. Like, it's incredible. And I'm like, damn, there's so many people, because of how, like, at each other's throats we are, that are not going to have that experience, man. Like, I watch Orion a lot because Orion was your rainbow baby and you guys have a special little, but like, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And the idea that if I was gay, I could get a guy and Orion wouldn't need you and hey, he's comes out fine. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely crazy. But at the same time, the girls now, I have this conversation a lot with one of the boys. And I say, it is always better to get somebody to do what you want because you influence them versus you controlling them.
Yeah.
But see, if you're trying to influence somebody, you got to spend a lot of work. You got to study her. You got to figure her out. You got to see what words trigger her, what don't, blah, blah, blah. Then you got to examine yourself and say, am I prioritizing myself here on this? I can't tell you how many policies and procedures got murdered by that one question. It's like, bruh, that would make shit easier for you. There's no Ephesians 5 justification for that. So I have to just bite my tongue and deal with that shit. But if you don't have an understanding, and if there's nobody above you that can tell you that you're prosecuting your relationship the wrong way, man, it's all the way. Go to an island. Seriously, flee. Flee. I'm not insulted that this girl is like, yo, get on an island. I'm not insulted by that at all. Like, I'm really fascinated by her. I don't think it'll work. I think it's impractical. I think it's crazy. I think it's us quitting on each other.
Yeah.
And then there's a racial aspect. Like, that's one of the things I really, really want to ask her. Because I'm sorry, but them white feminists, runaway siren, they weren't for you. The only folks that were supporting you were black men before Mr. Biden came in and sent us all to prison. So that I agree with Shorty. I see a lot of like issues, but there's also like serious disagreements I have with her, especially on the race side. Mm-hmm. If you think you're gonna show up, so it's only white dudes that was racist in the antebellum South, Shorty. What did Malcolm say? He said, "I was born as a Christian, as a black man, but I was a black man before I was a Christian." So to him, he's prioritizing his race even above religion. I'm not going to take it that far, but
I thought that's what he was saying.
Yeah,
but yeah. I didn't understand why it sounded like you were.
So that's another question I want to ask Shorty. Like, let's think about the racial ramifications here.
I think.
Like, have you watched *Handmaid's Tale*? What are the roles of black people in *Handmaid's Tale*? And then you got the white lady. You got the white suburban lady.
Right. Yeah.
Whose concept of suffering before the entire thing showed up was somebody put sugar in her spice latte over there, and now all of a sudden this girl's a jihadist. All these women of color who struggled and grinded their whole life, they don't know what to do. They need the white lady to save them. Okay, so the people that write stories like that, you're gonna be on an island with. Good luck. Good luck. You're gonna see real quick that the racial divide.
I also think that part of the discussion that, I'm never going to separate this. I'm a Christian. So I believe that in the midst of our relationship, God is in the middle of it. So there are times where Vinny has his mindset on something and I have my feelings set on something, and there's no middle ground. There's no bridge to bring those two together.
Agreed.
And I'll go and I'll pray about it. And I'm like, Lord, you're good. I always use this phrase because for some reason it makes me feel like God's gonna come through. I'll be like, "Get your boy," and I'll be like, "This and this and this."
Is that what me and you are beefing? That's what you say?
Yes.
Get your boy. Yeah. That's funny because I had a conversation like that a couple nights ago, and it was that kind of energy.
Where you were saying what?
Like the Lord, she's like, "What is this you're doing with her?" And it was kind of like a vibe of like, she told on you, bro. Like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Yeah, so
now I remember I said, I'm going to go and listen to some music. That's what I'm going to do. Go ahead.
Well, you don't always take that approach, but there are times where I can tell, like, okay, so I took some time, I prayed about this thing, and I was very specific with God. And some of it, like, especially if I'm at, like, a point where I'm like, this is impossible and it will not change unless something supernatural happens, because I can see you're dead set and I am also dead set. And so I'll pray about it. And then that's where that verse, like where Sarah says, basically she says to God, God will judge between you and I. And I'll do that. I'll be like, God, you have to judge between him and I. And then like, there'll be times where you'll come around and you'll be like, I feel like God was saying X, Y, and Z thing, which is exactly the thing that I was praying. I was like,
doesn't happen to me though. Never happens to me.
That's not true. I've changed policies because he was like, hey, like literally.
That's in response to prayer, not me trying to like advocate for my case. What I'm saying is, you say something to Jesus, he comes to me, you get a response immediately. You don't think I've had like "come get your girl" type prayers? It's there. You're just not listening to them.
No. That's
the other thing. If you're gonna go to your lesbian island, then you don't got Jesus because he's a man.
I know. Yeah. No, there was one thing because, and it was funny because this is also interesting because the way that he talks about you to me is also in that sort of like you're his like son sort of language. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there was something that I was like, okay. I was like on my feminist shit. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. And I had this brilliant idea. Well, actually, it was a really horrible idea. Now that I look back, it was like probably like the worst idea. But at the moment, it seemed like a good idea. And then...
famous last words, dear listener.
And I heard God like clear as anything say, do not take that from that boy.
You shouldn't have done it.
I didn't do it because he said don't do it. Yeah. And now I look at it, I'm like, that would have been such a bad decision. But I'll tell you, at the time, it seemed like a really great idea.
There's a lot of those. And I'm like, fuck. What if I didn't listen?
Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm like,
I don't even know how people survive without God.
I'm gonna do all my ignoring stuff like online. But like, if it's a me and you thing, I'm gonna listen 100%.
That's okay. I also changed.
But people online, they fuck. Boom, 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 boom.
But those cross over, though.
You're getting 2 in the chest, 1 in the head from me, boy.
Those cross over.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think what Sadie's saying is very earthy and real world and practical and honest. Maybe we should just be quiet a little bit, let the girls talk. It's like I said to one of the kids yesterday, like, when a person advocates for themselves, you don't have to agree with 100. It's not a zero-sum game, okay? So if you were treating her at like a 4, and she comes and tells you you're treating her like a 2, then go up to a 6. You don't need to be at 10. And yeah, she might not be giving you your flowers. It is what it is. Deal with it. As a man, you should deal with that. Like that, I just think it's I was telling you, it's the fundamentals, man. Basketball, it's the fundamentals. This is how you pass. This is how you know? And so, and that's why I spent so much time with the boys talking about, marriage and relationships and really stressing to them the purpose side of relationships. It's not, you've got 75 spins around the sun, and so it's better to pass the time with somebody. It's better to not be alone, blah, 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 blah. That's true too. But I was put here for a reason.
That's right.
I was put here for a reason. And I wasn't put here to just kind of hang out, eat chocolate cake, play guitar, have sex and shoot videos for 75 years and then just die. Like, I'm here for a reason. Now, it's a little bit easier for me because of the circumstances of my birth and, things after that were like literally miraculous. And at some point I'll tell that story. And so I always had this narrative, like, you're here for a reason. Like, God would not have, because it was literally a miracle happens so the kid dies. Like, that was it. And so I always had this in my head, like, there's something different about you. There's some, and that was one of the reasons why, like, I never really thought, like, in the hood, like, there were times I'm like, oh, this is ugly. But I always had it, there was always in my head, like, yeah, you haven't come close to what you need to do yet. So, no, nothing's going to happen to you. But, having a sense of purpose about your life, and then having a sense of purpose about your relationship, and then having a third party, in our case it's Jesus, that you can air out your grievances to, who will then come to that has authority in the relationship. Because if he says it and it's about her, I'm gonna listen. Like, even before we were together, people, if they needed something from me, go to Sori. If Sori asks it in her voice, Vina's gonna give it to her 100%. It's true. She was right. The only other being in the universe that has more of a sway on me than that is Jesus. And so to have Jesus show up and say, you shouldn't have said that to her, I don't know that you're praying about it half the time. But this is first, like, it's even coming into my consciousness. But, like, to have that dynamic in our relationship to where we don't need to talk to each other about the specific thing. Like, there was, I don't know if you remember it, but we were at, there was one specific event. I was by the I don't know why I remember, but I responded very quickly. And it wasn't yelling or anything like, but it was some frost on the edges of the communication. And immediately, you said, okay. And immediately the Lord said, why'd you have to, why are you like that? Man, you gotta, you like, and he didn't tell me to do anything. He was just like, why are you like that?
Is that, you turned back and said something?
That's when I turned and I said, hey, did that bother you?
So literally, when that happened, I was like, okay. And then, because at the same time, I'm thinking, like, one of the ways that you love somebody, I've realized, I was not always like this, is that you have a way that you express love, and I have a way that I express love. And most times, you want to experience love the way that you express it, because that's the love that you understand. Part of loving someone else is understanding the way that they love, so you can realize when they are loving you. Just because it doesn't fit the type of love that you feel that you need, or that you feel that you want, if you can't see when they're loving you, you're going to miss all kinds of stuff. And I've done that. I've missed a lot of things in the past because you were loving me from your way, and I was like, I needed this. And so, in that moment, I think
we'll always disagree on that. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you being like, that was nice, but it just didn't hit me there.
I don't think that there's anything wrong necessarily with that either, but I do think that if you want like it broadens the relationship, because I was able to relook at situations and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what he was doing there. That was actually super whatever because of how you are and who you are. And it's also part of knowing somebody else. But when that situation popped off, I was like, I'm looking at the situation like, you know, he's from the hood. You know what I mean? Like, you've had experiences. Like, sometimes you're a little bit on the more expressive side when you say something and it like hurts my feelings, but it doesn't mean you were trying to hurt me. And so when you said what you said in the way that you said it, I, in my heart, turned toward God and I was like, that hurt my feelings. And I'm like, and I was like praying about it. And then he turns around and
I said, did what I said, you know, whatever? And you were like, yeah. I said, oh, I'm sorry. And then you came up to me later. You were like, why did you say that at that time? And I said, well, you know, the Lord showed up and he said, you know, he didn't tell me to do anything. He just asked the question, like, why are you like that? And I don't know how to explain it, man. When Jesus rebukes you, it's one of the best things in the world. You feel so loved and known and understood. It's like, I'm certain that there have been times that I've just acted out just to get that kind of with him.
you would.
Like that's just the type, you know, so yeah, like it's so, I cannot express enough how having him there and like, what can you do? He's God and he died on the cross. Like, how can you say, you know,
yes, you remind me of
and then, you know, I mean, you know,
sometimes it's like oddly specific too. Like, I will pray very specific things, and the language that I use and the stuff that I say when I'm talking to Jesus is not necessarily the language and the stuff that I'm going to say if I'm talking to Vinny or anybody else. And there are times where I've used very specific phrases with my, you know, as I'm praying. And then you'll come up to me and say, like you just said one of them, like this was a couple of weeks ago, you were like, yeah, Jesus said, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you said the phrase that I prayed. And obviously, I mean, I usually am doing a lot of my praying in the shower. So nobody's there with me. The music is going and the shower is going and the fan is going and I'm praying quietly. So nobody's hearing my prayers except for God.
Absolutely in the zone.
Yeah. So it's like, the fact that you came up with that exact phrase, I'm like, I know he was talking to you, and I know that he's for me. So it's just but then I think to myself, I just don't this is why I feel like people are having such a hard time in their relationships, is because if you don't have that friend that's going to help out, like how, I don't,
but again,
know?
it's more than a friend. Like, it's somebody that has ultimate authority over you.
And is full of love and totally for you. And he's totally for you and totally for me.
But he earned it, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're God. You should have just sat on your ass and be like, worship me, bitch. That's what I would have done. Hell yeah. I would go down there. So, like, if your God did that for you,
yeah,
you can't say sorry to your wife, man. You should just go to hell now. Seriously. Like, that's crazy to me. Yeah, for me, it's the fact that we're here for a purpose. And, like, I want passionate, emotional. I understand that love is not just emotional. You know, the main guy that used to mentor me, that was a big thing. Love is a choice, not a feeling. And that's just not right. Love is a choice and a feeling. And I want those intense feelings for as long as I can possibly have them. But our relationship is not contingent on that. We're not going to be gone. We're not going to be done because I randomly lose a feeling or because you lose a feeling. We understand that feelings are cyclical and that they come and go and they ebb and flow. But if you're in a Christian marriage, you're both assuming right from the inception that both of you are so horrible that God had to take a 60 trillion light year trip down here to fix us. So if I'm that bad, how can I judge her? And if I can't judge her when she does fuck up or whatever, I got to be really, really quick to forgive. And when I'm not, I hear about it. You do. You hear about it. Literally, And it's cool because, like, you know, if you go to couples therapy and stuff, which I think is important, which we've done, like, it's cool. But a lot of the times, like, you feel like, yeah, but this person is biased.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like
Oh,
if,
right,
if
yeah,
you showed up and like
yeah.
Sadie was the counselor, I'm like, this woman is.
I'd be like, excellent, it's all going my way.
You know what I'm saying? But like, it's so crazy because Jesus does take it's. You know, it says you cry out to the altar, you flood the Lord's altar with tears, and you say to him, why doesn't he hear our prayers? And then the answer is because the Lord is being witness on behalf of the wife of your youth against her because you've covered yourself with violence, actually, is what the text says. And it was like, whoa. And then Peter says, right after Peter says, wives, submit yourselves to your husband, Sarah, blah, 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 blah. Then he tells the men, honoring her, is what the scripture says, as a weaker vessel and a fellow heir of eternal life. Mm-hmm. By the way, fellow heir in a biblical world was a legal term. It was not a metaphorical, it was a legal term, okay? Inheritance was a really, really big thing back then for obvious reasons. And so when Peter tells the nascent Christian church, that woman is to be honored because she is a fellow heir with you. Like, we have the document. There's the document. You got to honor her. There's some real legislation happening up in heaven. So, like, that's what it is for me. We have a purpose, and then we have our marriage counselor has complete and total authority over both of us. Mm-hmm. That does not mean I'm saying we don't need human marriage counsel. I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that because we entered into the relationship from a Christian standpoint, we have a template for purpose already. We have a template for our children. There is a reason for everything we do. Whether we eat, there's a reason for sex, there's a reason for play. All of it is going towards a certain telos. Yep. And that also, look, there's a lot of time, like we're watching a show right now, and the guy's like, I'm going to quit, blah, 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 I'm quitting on the team. And then the friends come by and say, no, you can't quit on the team. We need you, blah, 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 blah. And they're, 30 minutes later, everybody's good. But I truly believe that. I truly believe that what's happening in the world right now, and Sadie brought something up really interesting. So on the one hand, you've got all these women doing the tradwife thing. Mm-hmm. But then you have these Korean women, and I'm sure it's going to spread, saying, man, fuck all y'all. In the same time period, in the same generational bucket, that is something very unique and interesting. Yep. That's very interesting. The other side of that thing that's really interesting to me too is that based on what we've known about Korea, I would have assumed that idea would have come from an American. I'd be like, only a white girl could come with an idea like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be that anyway. But like, so it's very, very, it's a very odd phenomenon when I actually think about it, because it's like, what are we saying here? Like, what are we really saying here? But okay.
I think I'm not. What are you saying? I'm not really picking up what you're throwing down here. What about the Korean situation versus white?
Well, it's just
because I feel like they've been very oppressed. I'm glad. I feel like that they're like, okay, enough's enough.
What does that mean that they were oppressed?
I mean, all I know is that one girl wore, I think she didn't wear a bra underneath her shirt or something like that, and like the media and everything went after her so bad she ended up ending her own life. Like, that to me is like, what is going on over there? Yeah, but but you've heard a lot of those stories.
Is that different from what Justin Bieber endured or what you endured when you first started your YouTube channel? I mean, that's just, or LeBron, like his son got into a car accident and one of the fans was like, I hope he dies. Like,
I don't know why is that different over there. I don't know why would she unalive herself.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have enough information to know what's going on over there.
I guess for me, like I think about how. And again, maybe I'm mixing up cultures, but like the one-child policy and like stuff that ended up making it so that way, girls were getting. Yeah,
but we're talking about Korea though, not
China. I don't know if there's any similarities between those areas and how they deal with the female children. Is what I'm saying.
I think the suicide thing is more about socialization. I think if you take an American woman and put her in that situation, she's just not gonna. I mean, it doesn't happen. But American girls get torn to shreds.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how beautiful. I mean, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. Doesn't matter how good of a singer you are. If you're a woman, man, they're gonna comment on your physical. They're gonna, whatever. And American women just, I don't know if they. I mean, I'm not in their minds, but it appears that they just shrug it off and keep it pushing. So like, I understand that. I'm like, what is it in the socialization that makes suicide the option in the face of that criticism?
Okay. Yeah.
That to me, I just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that side of it. But I do think I'm really going to be thinking about that a lot. In the same generation of these really extreme militant feminist movements like 4B, you also have, in my view, something a little bit as regressive as the trad wife thing. And I think the trad wife thing to me is a very specific period. It's a 20-year period of time. The lady with the apron and all the rest of it, that's post World War II. And then the girls are like, man, fuck this shit. In the 60s, man, get out of here with this shit. We were working and shit when y'all was around, man. We were good. Now you boys showed up. Now I can't even get a credit card, man. Y'all out of here. And so them girls burned their bras, and when they went out and did what they needed to fucking do. So I just think we gotta learn from history, man. We gotta learn from history. Like, history didn't start with us because we have iPhones. That's the other thing about modern people. We think we know so much. Maybe the problem that we have in relationships is that we veered off the traditional path. And I include the trad wife thing as a veering off of the traditional path. Because as I said, that specific kind of woman was a 20-year gap in American history. And it didn't last very long. So we already talked about the biblical understanding of a woman who is a wife, a mom, a small business owner, a boss, a land surveyor. She has multiple small businesses. This is in the ancient Near East, written about 600 to 800 years before Jesus even showed up on the planet. Okay? So when I say that the trad wife thing is not traditional, that's what I'm saying. Because if you go to the ancient literature of the scripture, you got women running shop all over the place. You got women leading countries, leading militaries, prophesying, all that shit. So do what you need.
Also, I just want to put this out there because I think there was a question in the chat like earlier about like, God talking to people and stuff. I believe, I don't know if you can chapter and verse this or even, maybe chapter and verse it saying that I'm not right, but I believe that God is always speaking to all of us. I think that just like when your ears are not listening for a certain sound, like there are certain sounds right now, stop in here, you can hear the fan on your computer, but you were not hearing that before. But because I brought it to your attention, now you are. So I think that God has been speaking to us from the time that we were in our mother's womb. And I think that a relationship is started with him even at that very like small age. 100%. And then you either cultivate that relationship where the voice, it's more fine-tuned. Vinny and I have been, this makes me emotional. Vinny and I have all of our lives been like, with the exception of a few years, both of us kind of, I think, had a time period where we were like, we're not trying to listen. And they were at different points in our lives. But I think, we still, for the majority of our lives, have been like, I actually want to hear what you have to say. Whatever you have to say, just tell me because my heart loves to hear your voice. And so I think that everybody has the capability to hear God. But I do think that the intention of your heart has to be that you want to hear him. And I don't think that I think that there are times where God will overnight make it so that way your ears are like tuned to hear his voice. But I don't think that's the case for everybody. And I think that it's about intention and it's about not giving up. And it's about saying like, I do want to hear if there's a most high, like whatever the condition of your heart is, if you're at the point where you're like, if there's a God out there, and if you are the most high, then that's the voice that I want to hear. And your intention is that continuously until you're like, I'm not going to give up on this. Like I'm going for this and I'm staying with this until I'm going to start hearing from him. Like I think that God is going to honor that and he's going to let you hear his voice. But I think that it may take time or it might be overnight or whatever. But like if the intention of your heart is that you want to hear him, I think that his voice has been speaking. And that even the fact that you want to hear him is evidence that he's been speaking. Like there's a part of you that's kind of like, But anyway, so yeah, I think that I think that God speaks to people differently, and I think that God's relationship with each person is individual and it's different. Vinny's relationship with God is not the same as mine, and the experiences that I have with God are not the same as his. I do think that our marriage part of our relationship with God is where it intersects, and so that's where we kind of get
it's definitely a tether.
There's something for sure there that's really fascinating
between the three of us.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you know, I just think that that's like a major part of our relationships that people are like missing.
Jet says, wouldn't I hear him when I was little? Never heard him, I mean. I'm assuming you're talking about God. As a person who's experienced multiple births as an observer, okay? There have been, you know, once your girl tells you, oh, the baby's moving, blah, 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 you just start talking to the baby. You start, hey, I'm your dad, blah, blah, blah. Reading Bible verses, blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, good night, blah, blah, blah. He's hearing my voice, but he doesn't know I'm his father. Right? It's not until he's born, and then he connects a voice to the face. When I say, hey! And he goes, oh, it was you! Mm-hmm. That's what it's like. Jesus said you have to be born again. I am certain, Jet, that you've heard the voice of God, because I believe that you're gestating. You're in the womb of time, gestating. And I do believe that God is speaking to you. And I do believe that one day you're going to be born. And when you're born and you see his face, you're going to say, I remember that voice.
Yep.
The reason I'm saying that is because I've seen it happen in real time. Mm-hmm. You had a girl, she was there. It was the first night we met her. That never happened before. First night we met her. And they had this little prayer chair. And so the girl's in the chair, and everybody's just sitting around being really awkward. That was night one.
Oh, I know.
Of prayer week.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was night one. So we had everything in there, and then we decided we were going to spend an entire week together every day and pray for like hours. So day one, Shorty sits in the chair. She's not a Christian, but she's like curious or whatever. And so God speaks to somebody and says, hey, go talk to Shorty. So the dude's out there talking to Shorty. They have a little conversation, and she commits to Christ right there. And then we undo the door stuff, and because, you know, we got to baptize you. So Sori went and baptized. I'm not going to play that video. I have that video. I'll watch it after. But like, Sori goes and baptizes her. Like, literally, it was like 20 minutes from her sitting in the chair to a completely brand new life. The crazy thing, Jet.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
She had this journal.
Yep.
And in the journal,
she never read the Bible ever in her life.
She never read the Bible.
Her family's not religious.
In the journal, she's got, first of all, like a couple of phrases that the person used in that conversation with her when by the chair. Mm-hmm. That was in her book.
Yep.
She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Just how, like, yep. I was just thinking, like, me and you were talking about a relationship, and oh, Jesus showed up in blood, like the three of us and all the rest of it. And I'm like, it's hitting me like, do you understand how you sound to everybody? Like, you just have this casual.
Yep.
But but we've been in it so long that when the shit happens, we're like, oh, that's God.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
But like, we don't realize it. Yo, that's crazy. I had this phrase in my head. I never read. And there were so many, like the I am thing. Mm-hmm. And so I showed, I'm like, no, that. And she goes, oh my God. I'm like, he's been talking to you. And now that she's born, she put a face to the voice.
Yes.
And she said, oh shit, I've been talking to him the whole time. You've been talking to me. I didn't know.
Yep.
So Jacob said, surely the Lord's in this place. I did not know.
I did not know. Yeah.
So I do believe that day is coming for you. Mm-hmm. And for
a lot of you on this channel.
The vast majority of you are going to be with us in 10,000 years. It's just Sadie, everybody.
Yep.
I just don't care. It's just, that's why, like, in the real talk, there's certain people on the internet I fight with, blah, blah, blah. Literally in my mind, I'm like, we ain't going to be worrying about this shit in 10,000 years. We'll squash the beef at some point. Mm-hmm. And, like, that should motivate you to fix shit now, but, like, I it's not even confidence. Like, I know the vast majority of you are coming up. Mm-hmm. I know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Shorty was like, she was blown away, man. That's why I like, after that night, I'm like, I mean, you knew me already. I didn't walk around with a lot of pressure to convert people. But after that, you'd have thought, I'm like, I'm going to convert everybody. After that, I'm like, man.
Yeah, God's going to do this all.
I'm going to play my position in the moment I need to play it. And that's it, man. Because like, I'm like, man, this is his thing. He loves Shorty. He was working with Shorty. He was reaching out to Shorty, protecting her, all types of shit. Hell, he even took that baby from her. Mm-hmm. And he should have. It was the right thing to do. Because now look at her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. And so like, that's why I know that humanity is going to get over this men versus women thing. Somebody brought something up to, somebody brought this up to me. There's this thing called MGTOW, which is basically men going their own way.
No, they're doing the same thing.
Men going their own way, which was published 3/20/2024.
Men's right activists.
It's men's right activism. Man, I don't got a lot of time for men's rights activism. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You know what type of group set that up?
But yeah, I mean, it's more of the same. Now you got dudes getting mad and taking their balls and go, I'm gonna go home. Or you got these passport dudes like, I'm not gonna marry an American woman because they have too many opinions. I'm gonna get on a plane. There's something really gross to me about it. You're gonna go on a plane, go to Thailand, go to India, get some woman in a horrible economic situation that's gonna submit to everything you have to say, and then bring her over here and then say, American women don't know how to submit. Man, you weak as hell, bro. That shit is so weak to me. That shit is so unmanly. You can't handle it. And the other thing is, like, where's your fucking patriotism? You can't handle an American woman? Man. Come on, man. That shit's crazy to me. Like, how small do you have to be? Anyway, we continue.
Yep.
Jet says, I hope there's a God. If there isn't, everything is pointless. You're right. Everything is pointless. But you don't have to hope there's a God. There is. Yep. And he loves you. Mm-hmm. And he's been talking to you. I promise you. I promise you. You give it 365 days, Jet. Tonight before you go to bed, you say, hey, I don't know if you're around, but if you're around, say something. Mm-hmm. Try it out. What can hurt you? All right, I'm going to give this song a 9.4. We are a reactional channel.
I actually really like this one. This one's another 9.7 for me.
Dude's literally taking their balls and going home. Some bitches, man. Yeah, you a bitch ass thing for real. If you are, I got no respect whatsoever. Like, look, if you like a good Thailandian girl, whatever, I'm not mad. I'm sure there's women in other countries. That's fine. There's other countries. That's just whatever. That's, you know me. I'm America. I'm America first. Like that shit is like in here, but like. America, like, come on, like, this is America. We got the best country in the world. What are you doing? Like, you gotta be varsity. You gotta be varsity level deal with American women, bro.
Gracious, that's crazy.
I went through something where I said God isn't real, and I went into worse darkness after that. Suicidal every day. Shit. Yeah, try it tonight. Try it tonight. And by the way, since she's gonna try it, Middle Earth and all you Christians, you gotta get to praying now.
God is gracious. I think
you gotta come through.
We've talked about this before, that hell is like an existence absence the grace of God, absence his goodness, because that's what hell is. And so I think that when you said God isn't real, he let you experience what existence was if he wasn't real. When you're separated from his goodness, and it brought you to the point of hopelessness, the point of darkness, and unaliving yourself, because it was that serious. And I think that is 100% what life apart from God, like what hell actually is. And I think that it was his grace to you that you were able to experience that on this side.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we can always tell when God loves somebody and has an eye on somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to mention the person's name, but they were like, oh, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, man. I said, you can say whatever you want, but if he's got his eye on you, like within the year, he's going to get you. And sure enough, 3 months later, he's in here. Christian as fuck. That's so bad. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, babe. I saw this horrible baptism video. The pastor grabs the guy and he goes, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. and they must have had some issues or something. He throws him right underneath the water, and then the pastor steps back. The guy's like trying to get himself back. He goes, Lord, take him, Lord, take him. Lord, let him have your way. Lord, have your way. I was like, what is going on in this church, bro?
You get rid of that pastor. It was that time we baptized Riley.
Oh my God, it was so cute.
And he wouldn't wait.
This kid, like, you want to talk about ADD. The energy level of this kid was up on 10 all the time. He never rested. We had him spend the night at our house a couple times.
Email me, bro.
I don't even believe the kid slept. Anyway, he like made a profession of faith. Like he had an understanding of Jesus. He was with it, and he wanted to get baptized. Well, you need to say a couple things before you dunk the person. He couldn't wait. He dunked himself face first.
He did.
Into the water. Was so cute.
That's it, Riley.
The look on your face when you did it was
we baptized Johnny the same day, right? It was a father and son.
He was in there, yeah.
It was a subhanAllah.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a crazy... People...
You looked so happy when he did that. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I loved him.
Uh-huh.
I loved him.
People loved him because you loved him too.
Yeah. Yeah, subhanAllah. That was my favorite. You're not supposed to have favorites, but Catherine and him were like the ones that stuck with me the most.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You know, like people that everybody else would just throw away, or oh, he's a kid or whatever. It's like, man, I love that boy.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's how it's supposed to be, like, because literally people didn't like this kid. No, like some people didn't. He got on their nerves, I guess. But you loved him so much that it switched, and then everybody was like for the kid. And I think that that's how it's supposed to be. I think that we're supposed to see other people like that. We're supposed to be like, Jesus loves that one. Well, I love them too. Yeah.
Yeah. God. And we ended up buying Wonder Woman. I had that little nigga sleep over. He slept over shit. I was like,
that's what I'm saying. You didn't sleep.
It's funny too because Johan is a kid that breaks everything and is the annoying little brother, yada yada. That boy has no patience. And I would just be in the other room hearing him, Riley, stop! Riley! Threatening him all the time. And I was like, yeah, how do you like it? I'm glad. Keep doing it, Riley. And Dorian came over like, Father, you got to kind of do something about Riley. I mean, he's turning the thing into a...
It was...
whatever word. You know how Dorian uses strange words and shit. Shout out to Riley. All right, I'm going to give this song a 9.4. Shout out to the big homie Revo.
9.7 for me. Happy birthday, Revo.
Sorry, yeah, happy birthday,
what
Revo.
What time is it? I want to know. We went for 5.5
hours. 5.5 hours.
Sorry, Revo.
Good God. All right, guys, we're out of here. All right, I'm going to pray. Jesus, thank you so much for Jet and Sadie. Thank you for having Sadie to hang out with us for, I think it was an hour and a half, 2 hours. Thank you. You know I missed her, so thank you for coming through for me. God, Jet's reaching out to you. We know that you've been talking to her. We know you love her. We know that you got your eye on her. And we graciously and humbly ask you to speak to her in her language and in the voice that she can hear in her voice. And just remove any doubt of your existence, your love for her, your plan for her. Remove all the doubts, God, and set her on the path of healing and wholeness, and show her what her part in this whole project is to save this world. Thank you for making her born. Thank you for keeping her alive. And keep her safe, because you got a lot of people in this room, Jesus, that love this girl now. So if something happened to her, you're going to have a whole bunch of people upset. And I know you don't want that.
And Jesus, I know, in John 17, you prayed a prayer that wasn't a time-based prayer. You prayed for everybody then, and you prayed all the way into the future that everyone that would believe on your name, you prayed for all of us. And so these prayers right now that we're praying for all of our people, God, I pray that from the time that this video is shot till the end of time, anybody that watches this video and wants these prayers for themselves, that these prayers would have been for them too, God. Save all of our friends. I pray that their hearts would be open to hear your voice, and that everybody that prays to hear from you, God, that your voice would open up their ears and they would see you and they would know you and they would hear you and they would believe, and that it would bring hope into their lives, and it would change them, change their lives, change their circumstances, God. When they give themselves completely over to you, God, I just pray that you would speak to them. And I thank you for our friends. I thank you that you've brought everybody that hears this, that you've brought them to this channel to hear these messages and to hear from you. So we're excited to see more people around the dinner table. Amen.
Amen. Sadie, I guarantee you I'm going to see you in 10,000 years. You.
100%.
You. SubhanAllah. No words. We're out of here. Vin out.
Sori out.